Hi everybody, Colin Stevenson here, back with my usual superhero, John Lenhart. Hi John.
How you doing?
Today we wanted to talk about women because we're looking to help women today with our subject, and what we want to talk about is sex, okay, and the drivers behind it for women, but also to be able to help them fathom out and work out the way it works for them too. Okay, so before we go any further, I'm going to hand over to John because this man is the one that's got the knowledge that we all want, and we want to help these women out. So John, please take it away, my friend.
So the last time we talked about women, I had said that if you take a woman's brain and damage it in 4 areas, you'd have a man's brain. And we covered one of those 4 areas. It was called the nucleus basalis. Yep. And it's their ability to have more than one thought. So today I want to talk about a second way a man's brain is damaged versus a woman's brain. And I want to go all the way back to late 2003.
Okay.
In late 2003, Pfizer announced to the world that they had created a female Viagra.
Okay.
And they were really excited about it. And then in early 2004, they went, nope, we didn't have it. And everybody said, why did you think you had it? Now you don't. And they said, well, here's the thing. And there's actually some beautiful quotes in here. This is 2004 where they're saying, apparently in men, arousal equals desire. So if we give them Viagra and they get aroused, they will have sex.
Yeah.
For a man, arousal equals desire. And these quotes in this article, apparently for women, it's a lot more complicated than that. We had found a pill that gave women arousal. So we just assumed that would cause them to want to have sex, desire, just like men, right? They go, apparently that arousal is wired through a woman's brain and she makes some decisions. Whereas that connection is cut for a man and he doesn't make any decisions.
Yeah.
When he gets aroused, he goes. So this was big news in 2004 that apparently women, when they're aroused, that doesn't mean they're going to want to have sex. They can be aroused without the desire, but men, that connection is cut through their brain, and all that happens opposite the brain.
Yep.
So this is another area where men are not like women, and this is why these things always fail, trying to assume women are like men. So really what we're talking about here is I like to talk about attraction versus beauty. Okay, beauty is physical, it's an appearance, and it always runs down.
Yep.
So it's a multi-billion-dollar industry to help women fight the beauty, decrease by all the cosmetics and everything, and fight to keep beauty. Attraction is this intangible or invisible force that draws you towards somebody. It is possible to grow in attraction to someone who is less beautiful. Yes. And that's the thing, when you look at this, is like, what track is this woman's brain on? What track are the men's brain on? Are they on the beauty track or are they on the attraction track? So the goal is to understand, why are you attracted? So why is a woman attracted? So I want to talk about love at first sight. One of my favorite stories, like why, when they looked at someone, they suddenly understood that. This has to do with your unconscious brain. So what's happened is a person, male or female, has said to their friends, this is what I find attractive. And they'll say these qualities. And they can be like what you could say intangible qualities. I want to attract to someone who's real nice to people. What happens is when you walk into a room, your unconscious, without you even trying, scans the entire room, knows how many people in the room, and knows all their attributes. It's freakish what your unconscious can do. And it can identify the person that has the attributes you said you wanted. And then when you look at them, your unconscious doesn't use words, it uses emotions. And so, boom, it's love at first sight. Love at first sight is your unconscious brain juicing you when you see a person that you have stated you want to be with. So that's what that is. So that doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing.
Of course.
People say, I was attracted to this person, love at first sight, and it turned out to be bad. What had you said you were attracted to? And that's one of the places I've helped a lot of women over the years, is attraction to abusive men.
Yeah.
Every woman that I know who's been attracted to abusive men, I'll say to them, I bet you had a boyfriend who was abusive to you, and your friends, your parents, other people said to you, he's abusive. And you said, no, he's not. He loves me. You don't understand. And what happened is you told your unconscious brain, I like this.
Yeah.
And now what happens is you walk in a room, your unconscious scans for the most abusive guy, and you're drawn to him and you feel it. Someone introduces you to a nice guy and you go, yeah, he doesn't do anything for me. My unconscious isn't involved. So we got to understand our unconscious is where our sexual attraction is. And so if we understand that, we can take more control of that and understand why we're attracted to certain people.
Right, I get that. Oh, so much, so much. So, but what you're talking to me about is what I'm very passionate about, and it's energy, right? Everything is energy. We pick up on, and we are magnets for what we put out. So what we put into our unconscious brain is an energy. It's a thought process. It's a frequency that will match with the frequency that matches when we come in and we feel it. We don't need to physically feel it. Our unconscious feels it, and they pick up on that. Now, on the other side of things, I'll talk about this quickly because I know that you've got more to talk to help the women's side of things. But from a male perspective, I have got a certain way about me where I attract women who are maybe not on the level that they should be for themselves. And I come in, I used to have a thing that people called white knight syndrome. So I used to want to come in and try and take these people that I understood were maybe not in the best of places and try and make them better. Okay, and this used to be my energy that used to bring this in. I didn't ask for it, but I used to say I want a caring, loving, attractive looking person, and I would see them and I'd be like, oh. So it wasn't particularly love at first sight, but I was like, yes, you're that. So then that, our unconscious totally takes away from what is really meant to be going on. Do we get on? Do we need to know more about this person? You know, so this is like love is blind as well. So love at first sight is blind because you're not asking the right questions. So I found out this until I started making the life changes, which is understanding energy, understanding the universe and these type of things. I was constantly in this process. So it can be both male and female. Yep. So yeah, thank you. I just had to get that out there. That was like, oh, I love the way, because there'll be people watching this that'll be like, you're so right. Oh, why have I not seen this? But you know, and this is why we're here. We're here to help people, you know. And again, I would like to put it from the male and female perspective.
Exactly. So the thing is that you're a compassion server. That's your intangible drivers. That's your uniqueness. And so you want to help people out of a hole. You want to bear their pain.
Yep.
If you're not using that the right way, you're going to find people who are, and be attracted to people who are a mess. That's why it's really important for especially compassion servers to understand their uniqueness so they use it the right way. So, yes. So another area that attraction happens is in communication. And we've talked about this in the past, so I'll just briefly go over this. There's basically 4 types of causes of communication. We say there's good and not bad, and then there's bad and worse. Bad and worse communication is abusive. So what happens is when males talk to other males with bad or worse, a fight starts. Every guy who's in prison got there because he responded to a bad or worse cause with a bad or worse cause. When you give a woman a bad or worse cause, she shuts down. When you give a woman a good or not bad cause, she's attracted, she opens up. So a lot of times what I do is I'll walk into these classrooms and I'll say, do you females want to know why sometimes you're attracted to the guy and sometimes you're not attracted to the same guy? Why is your attraction to that guy now and then not now? And then I explain to them, a good cause is an open-ended question or a statement of fact. Yeah. A not bad cause is a closed-ended question or a statement of opinion. If a guy does those things, you will be attracted to him. If the guy projects on you, judges you, negates you, those are bad and worse causes, he won't be attractive. And that's good, because if you're actually attracted to a guy who gives you bad and worse causes, now you're attracted to an abusive guy. Yes. So that's the thing, is we teach women how to manage that. Now, when you talked about men, one of my favorite topics to talk about is And it's funny when I talk about this, if there are women in the area and they overhear it, they will walk over and say, do you mind if I listen to the rest of this conversation? Because I like to say, how would you help a man become more attracted to his wife? He is attracted to her, but us guys want to feel more attracted to her. How would you help him do that? And what a lot of people say, like Mark Twain said, have him stare at ugly women. Okay, that's what we call an animal or a 160 thought process. What most people say, if you go on LinkedIn, they say this guy should tell himself, she's the most beautiful woman in the world. I don't deserve her. I'm lucky to have her. Conscious. Sexual attraction is unconscious. If you try to fix that consciously, it'll work for a moment and then it'll drain you.
Yep.
You are hurting the person when you give them that advice. What I say is your unconscious doesn't know what you are thinking and feeling until you say it or write it down. So if a man shares something with his wife that he's never said out loud, his unconscious will go, oh, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
And why do we know it? Because of her. And your unconscious will juice you towards your wife. So I share everything first with my wife, and something I've already shared, I'll then share with my friends. So I intentionally stage everything to her first to teach my unconscious, this is where I want to be. And I keep growing an attraction to my wife because I'm using my conscious to train my unconscious.
Yep.
So this is how males can grow an attraction, is they need to share with their wife something they've never said out loud.
Yep, and that gives them it's like a safety net almost. That's where they create the bond, because they know this is a safe place for me to share with you because I don't do it with anyone else. And then it's like it's almost this nurturing energy that comes towards them, and it allows them to relax. Now, there was something else that you said earlier that I really kind of picked up on and resonated with me, and this was the Viagra thing. So the desire of males, so arousal creates the desire, where through the women it doesn't. Now, we see nowadays, you hear the stories, you read the papers, you watch the news, you watch online, okay, all the stories. So women, I don't believe, understand men the way they should, and men don't understand women the way they should. Everything is very shallow on these days, which takes away the communication, which is most important. So if a man is feeling attractive, what he wants to do is he wants to go up and display this with his voice, and it could be something quite derogatory or but he's not thinking about it. He just has to express this feeling, right? And he has to just come out with it. Now, well, a woman that is not being spoken to properly shuts down, like you quite rightly said. Now, she will take whatever he says the wrong way because she's closed off. She won't, because she understands the man. Now, I believe, now there's actions that we know that are completely just a no-no, but in terms of the kind of small level communication, I don't believe there's enough between male and female understanding each other's way of working that allows it. So what happens is a man wanting to express this verbally to a woman, she's not in there, he says it, he's a sleazeball, she shuts down, and then all of a sudden she's a cold-hearted witch. Now, we hear this all the time. All the time. That guy's a sleazeball. Do you know what? That guy just had the desire in his head, and he doesn't know how to articulate it because he doesn't have this in his heart. You, because you weren't touched on a level that you wanted to be intellectually, didn't allow you to open up. So you blocked him, and he's attacked you, and this is where we're going to have the out of balance. Now, would this be a fair analogy?
Oh, you led right into my next point perfectly, Colin. Perfectly. Okay. So what we do is we dissolve. You and I dissolve.
Yeah.
We're not going to solve this and say people are robots. I am going to give you the dissolve for everything you just said. And then people are going to go, why don't we teach this? Okay. And we go back to the last 5 and 1. Yep. The nucleus of cells. Guys can only have one thought. Women can have up to 5, okay? Women only desire to have sex. Women only desire to have sex when they are down to one thought.
Yes.
Okay? Now, Everybody only wants to have sex when they're down to one thought. Guess how often guys are down to one thought?
All the time.
So here's the issue is we want to have sex all the time because we're sitting at one thought. When women get down to one thought, they want to have sex too. Okay, so now here's the issue is a woman needs to understand this is why you want to have sex, which means if you get down to one thought with a guy and you start becoming intimate, what happens if during that intimacy you have two thoughts?
You're not going to be able to concentrate.
And you're going to lose the desire to have sex.
Yeah.
So this is where I go into these high schools to teach these to these females and to teach it to the males. Because this is where it turns into, wait a minute. The guy looks at the woman and says, you said you wanted to do this. You know, because I want to do this. And why wouldn't I want to do this? You said you want to do this, so we're doing this. She doesn't want. She started out wanting to do it. She doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And if you tell her to muscle through this, it's rape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is where a guy can understand, first of all, if a woman gets to hear no means no, but what no means no. Okay, but why? Why? Because she did this.
Yep.
Okay, doesn't mean she's never going to want to do this again, but she did this. Well, the guy gets all frustrated and starts, you're a witch, you're a tease, you're a, whoa. This is what, we're humans. This is how our brains humanly work. She's here. I like to teach women, if you get to hear, be able to explain it. Look, I'm at two thoughts. This might come back if you help me get back to one thought, or we might be done. But if you don't understand or appreciate that, this is going to turn into abuse. And that's how you're going to go, well, I thought, and this is what's so unfair with the rape trials and everything is like, why did you do it? Really? Why did she do it? Keep going? Because she didn't understand her brain. Why didn't she understand her brain? Because no one's explained to her the difference of a female brain to a male brain. And this is what I teach men is, how can you help, especially your spouse, stay here? How can you help her go from here to here? How good are you at keeping her here? The best lovers help women stay here. That's really what the measure is. So this is why this is really important, is all that miscommunication happens. When that happens, if you don't understand this is happening, all this damage, all this bad stuff happens. And it all happens because nobody wants to reach out to you and I and understand how the brain actually works.
Mm-hmm. And, right, okay, so you just, again, touched on another thing there. So when men, you go back to what they call the caveman days, it's like they go out, and again, this is, call them Neanderthals, call them whatever you want. We both decided, and we both discussed, and we both believe, and we both know for a fact, women are far superior beings, okay? This goes without doubt. We know, okay? Women know, but they don't believe. Men don't know because they don't think it's possible, right? So this is where we start looking at it now. If a man wants to carry this out, this feeling, this desire, okay, when they're not understanding, it means that they haven't communicated across properly to keep her in this space for keeping her do it. So my absolute belief that all men should start asking more questions of their females, okay? How are you feeling? What are you doing? Then once they start to practice, they will start to engage and feel an emotion. They will start to pick up an energy. Once they start to feel this, they will know, and then they will understand that they, with this one thought process, going forward, though this feels off, I am not going to do this. As much as I am being driven to by my desire, by my everything, I understand there's something off here, and I need to now either fix this mentally, energetically, before I can consider going across, or I will allow her to speak to me and say, do you know what, it's off. We'll go and grab a cup of tea, we'll get a coffee or something like that, we'll get a chat, we'll stick a video on, a movie, and then we can get back to it later on, but men don't understand the way they work either. Now, again, it always falls short on the woman being abused. Men feel abused, but they're not being abused. And this is where I believe there's the big, it's not been taught. We teach people abuse is wrong, don't do this, you don't do this, but we never teach people what it is that they're meant to be done. We could see, literally this video itself could save many women going through ordeals and men going through court cases. And do you know all these things if they just understood each other?
So you led me right in the next point. So I'm gonna back up. So what the way I would say what you just said is can a man first? We all know what he wants to do. Okay, she knows what he wants to do. Okay, and that's given her more thought. She might have started here, and then when he says, "Hey, oh, I know what you want to do," okay. So that's why Jonathan and I teach men how their brain works and how women's brains work. So can you help this woman? Everything you just said, the goal of everything you just said is talk to her till she's here. Now, what's the second way a man communicates? Okay, it's touch. So one of the things I love to teach in a room full of men and women, because when I say the following thing, all of a sudden the women like laugh and the guys go, uh-oh. Okay, or the women shake their head. Is what I say is when a man puts his hand on a woman, she instantly, without even trying, can calculate what percentage of that touch is for her benefit and what percentage is for his.
Yes.
And if that percentage starts being a lot for him, she goes to here. So what I teach men is, and this goes back to flow thought, this is, flow assess and everything, is what are you thinking of when you put your hand on her? Because whatever you're thinking of, that comes out your hand. I've shown this to men and women. You could be thinking of one thing and touch her and she feels something. You could be thinking of touching her the way she wants to be touched. And all of a sudden she goes, that relaxes me. That helps me get down to one thought. So yes. The second way a man communicates, first with his words, hopefully to go to here, the minute you touch her, you are communicating unconscious brain, sexual attraction, and you might be giving her an extra thought the way you're touching her. So now that's the thing we teach the men is if you knew how you were communicating, and that leads right into my definition for sex. So one of my favorite questions to ask people is, what is your definition for sex? And the issue is that it was when I give this definition, all of a sudden every guy puts their head down. So the definition of sex is intimately touching somebody else for their benefit.
Yes.
So what does that sound like, Colin? What definition does that
sound like love, giving without expecting anything in return.
Sex and love, right? That's how they coincide, is if you're touching somebody for their benefit, if you're giving without expecting in return, it's love, it's sex. Touching somebody for your own benefit is groping.
Yes.
And that's where all the guys go. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. You're groping. A lot of guys are groping. A lot of women realize they're being groped. That's why a lot of women are like, sex is not something I enjoy. Why? Because unconsciously, you're being groped.
Yep.
Does this guy know how to touch you for your benefit? That's what sex actually is. And I want to pull all this together with a really, really important thing that I wrote about in my columns. And that is, how long does it take a woman to get over or heal from sexual assault or sexual abuse? It takes decades.
Yep.
Why? Because of the definition of sex. So if sex is this physical act, then what happens is, and Ed and you talked a little bit about this, in your brain, every word you use, there's a tree, a dendrite. So the word sex is on a tree in this woman's brain. And all the connecting facts, the branches are different instances of sex. And every branch has associated emotion. So if she's trying to have sex with her husband, and on the same branch is sexual assault she's had with a negative emotion, how is she not going to feel bad while she has sex with her husband? You tell me physiologically how she does that?
I don't know, I'm kind of lost for words. It just...
She can't. So what happens is the counselor does that, but here's the issue. You called this sexual assault. It's not sex. If you're then I've helped men and women with this. If you say, look at the definition of sex is intimately touching somebody for their benefit.
Yep.
Groping, touching somebody for your own benefit. This sexual assault was not sex. You can plant a new tree in your brain. Call it sex. This is the definition for sex, or you can call it some other sex, but this is the definition.
Yep.
You, through like 6 to 8 weeks, can move these things off this tree to this tree. You can make a sex tree that has all good emotions. You can leave this over here. So what's preventing these women from getting healthy? The counselors and everybody call it sexual assault. I get it. The counselor's trying to help. They have the best intentions, and they are preventing the woman from getting healed from this sexual assault because they call it sexual assault.
Yes.
Because we're humans. We're not robots. We're humans. We're not animals. And words and definitions matter. Mental health begins with definitions.
Absolutely. Now, just before we finish up here, I would like to just add, I remember about 9 months ago when you and I were talking and we started going through your whole understanding of the way you work and the words from my actions and all that, this awesome stuff, that you asked me my definition for sex. And I said to you, it was a sacred energy exchange. And you says, I have never heard this definition before. Okay. Now, you didn't say I was wrong, because it is. Now, this ties up with what you, well, to a degree, what you were talking about when your hand goes on that person, it's sacred between you both. The energy exchange is this for me or is it for you, And then, again, there's the reciprocation on the end. So I go with your definition now, but I still can tie that to the one that I originally had, because when I had sex or have sex, I want it to be for that person. I want them to be pleasured, and again, it's that giving without receiving, that kind of love thing, when you're acting with your animalistic behaviors, you're groping, you're and it's for you, and it goes down to self-esteem levels, trying to work in dopamine, trying to do these things that are constantly, you're trying to grab this, I need it, but you don't need it. All you have to do is you just need to open up and understand and communicate, and things will all become better.
Yeah, you opened up the self-esteem box, and we'll deal with that another time. But
of course, I know. And again, you and I could go on for ages, but no, today's been great. And I am sure anyone watching this is going to understand sex, the definition, and how they can change each other's lives during it. And it's great. So again, thank you so much, John. And thank you again for today. It's been absolutely fantastic. And we'll see you next time. We've got what we're going for next time. We've got something for later on in the week.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, we're going to finish up the racism series with empathy and compassion.
Excellent. I can't wait. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Take care.